Myth number 8. If someone steals your credit card, they can rack up tons of debt. What's up, guys? We are talking about credit card myths today. There's a lot of misconceptions about credit cards that just aren't true, that only just keep you in fear and keep you from reaping the rewards of using your credit card. So, number 1, Michael.
We ain't about fear here, and that's why we're breaking down these myths for you. So, number 1 credit card myth is using a debit card helps your credit score. I mean, by itself, the word debit you'd think would, give that away, but there's still a lot of people out there that think that a debit card actually helps your credit score. It doesn't, because with a debit card, it's not actually opening a line of credit. There's no, actual chance for you to charge anything against the debit card because it's just pulling money straight out of your bank account. So while, a lot of people use debit cards, it's not actually helping your credit score to do so.
Perfect. Okay. Number 2, not using a credit card is the best way to keep a good score. A lot of people think that in order to keep a good credit score, you can have a credit card, but you shouldn't use it. And that's just not the case. You actually need to be using your credit card in order to build good credit and a good payment history. So make sure to use your credit card, but always follow the golden rule. Only buy things that you've already allotted the money for.
Yeah, I totally agree. Myth number 3. Checking your credit score hurts your credit score. Now, this one we kind of broke down when we were talking about how to calculate credit score, but really what this is coming down to is confusion between when like a company, like a car company, when you're trying to buy a car is checking your credit score versus when you're actually going to check it yourself. So it's the difference between hard and soft inquiries into your account. If you're doing a credit score, like you're checking creditkarma.com, those are all soft inquiries. That doesn't hurt your score at all. And if anything, you're hurting your score by not checking it, because if something goes wrong, you're never going to know if you're not looking at it. So that's a big myth that I don't know why that started, but definitely make sure you're checking your credit score and staying on top of it. That's what you said.
Myth number 4, carrying a balance helps your credit score. A lot of people think that in order to maintain good credit card usage, you have to carry a balance, and this just is not true. I'm pretty sure the credit card company started this myth.
Yeah.
Because any balance you keep on your credit card, you're accumulating interest on.
A buttload of interest.
Way too much interest. So always pay your credit card in full. Carrying a balance does literally nothing for you.
Yeah.
And it hurts you, so don't do it, okay?
Yeah. Using your credit card and paying it off is still using the credit card. If you carry a balance, then that's just asking to get yourself into debt, and that's never a smart idea.
Exactly.
Okay, so myth number 5. Only have one credit card in your wallet. So I heard this one a lot growing up. People used to say, oh, if you have so many credit cards, you'll forget which ones you have bills due on, and then it's just a great way to rack up debt. Well, that's true if you're not going to pay attention and abide by the golden rule. But if you're actually wanting to earn free vacations, then you're going to want to use a lot of different credit cards to get different rewards and different things. Obviously, we're going to show you guys how to do that. But the main thing we want to break down right here is having one credit card isn't the best way to build your credit score or to actually maximize your ability to earn rewards. Because if you just have one credit card, you're not going to have the ability to continually earning like startup bonuses on rewards, or even just have like the versatility of having a travel credit card and like a cashback credit card. Like having one credit card really limits the things that you're able to do.
Exactly. And just a note on that, if you are new to credit cards and you're still gaining the habit of getting in, checking your card, start slow. But this doesn't mean you can only have one card ever. It just doesn't really make sense. So don't be afraid of having multiple credit cards, but also be realistic with yourself.
Yeah.
Make sure that you are actually on top of the game. Cool? Number 6, that's 5. I just put my other hands. Yeah, thank you. Number 6, opening new cards hurts my credit score. Now, there is some truth to this, but it's not nearly as extreme as some people make it out to be. Yes, when you apply for a new credit card, they do a hard inquiry and it can ding your credit score just a little bit, but it'll bounce back super quick if you are paying everything off on time. So it doesn't really make a big difference whether or not that drops a tiny little bit, because you're just going to get it right back up.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing to note about this is the only time you do need to be careful about this is if you're about to make a really, really big purchase, particularly buy a house, put down a down payment, pay a mortgage, because they're a lot stricter with your credit score right before something like that, because it's a really, really big investment. So they need to trust you. So if you are looking into buying a house, you probably want to be careful opening any new cards about 3 months out. So try not to open any new cards within 3 to 4 months of applying for that home loan, buying that house. But that's pretty much the only thing. Maybe a car type of thing, any big purchases. But other than that, don't be afraid of opening new credit cards, as long as you can stay on track of everything and keep track of it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so number 7 is don't accept a credit limit increase. Now, I've heard this one too, because, and I've heard it in 2 ways. One, people think that, if I get a credit limit increase, that just means that I'm more in debt. Well, that's not true, because a credit limit increase just means that you can charge more on your card without quote-unquote maxing it out. But you guys watching this video, you're following the golden rule. You're not charging anything onto your card that you don't already have the money to pay for, so that's irrelevant to you. And then the other thing that I've heard people say is if they increase my limit, then that makes me riskier, so it's going to bring my score down. That's actually the opposite of the truth, because if you watch their videos on how credit scores are actually calculated, having a bigger limit means that you're going to have a lower credit utilization score, because it's going to take a lot more purchases to actually bring that usage up. So the more of a credit limit you have, the lower you can keep that utilization, the better it's going to help your score. So if a credit card company gives you a free limit increase, take it. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not going to hurt your credit score at all. And the third reason that I've heard people say this is a bad thing is they say it increases their risk of fraud. Well, it doesn't, because at the end of the day, if someone steals your credit card number and starts racking up charges, you can dispute any charge that you didn't make.
That was my next point. You stole my next point. You took it without asking. That was mine. Myth number 8, help me out. Myth number 8. If someone steals your credit card, they can rack up tons of debt. Okay, this kind of links to what Michael was talking about after he stole my point. Just because you have line of credit and somebody steals your card and they put something on your card, all you have to do is call and dispute that. Now, this is what was I saying?
I don't know.
You can actually call and dispute this, okay? So we've actually had times where people have gotten a hold of our card numbers, who knows how, and they started putting some stuff on our card. We called, told them, hey, this is fraudulent, and they are just like, okay, we'll take it off. They cancel your card, they send you a new one. You don't have to pay a penny of it. So that's just an irrational fear, and in fact, you're probably actually safer using a credit card than a debit card.
Which leads to myth number 9, that debit cards and cash are a safer way of spending your money than credit cards. Well, it's actually, again, this myth is just the complete opposite of the truth. I like to use the example, if I have a wallet that has $500 in it and another wallet that has a credit card with a $10,000 limit, if both of those wallets are stolen, which one did I lose more money in? You might think, obviously the one with the $10,000 credit card. Well, no. Because if someone steals my credit card and they start using it, I can call and have that card canceled. I'm not liable for any of those charges if I didn't make them. But if I lose a wallet with $500 of cash in it or a debit card, then that money can never come back to me. Especially with a debit card. Debit cards are even more dangerous because if people can actually charge with your debit card, you can't actually dispute those charges because it's just coming straight out of your bank account. There's an extra layer of protection on the credit cards because there's a bridge between your bank account and the people that are charging fraudulent things on your card that you can put a stop to it and dispute it with a credit card company that you can't do with your bank.
Yeah, and credit card companies almost always side with the customer. They're never going to not never, but most of the time, if you dispute anything, they're not gonna like question you or grill you. Like that's sometimes the thought is, well, if I call the credit card company, it's gonna be this big whole ordeal, and it's really not the case.
Yeah,
It's really simple.
Word of warning, don't lie. Don't charge something on your card and then say that it's fraudulent, because they have ways of tracking that too. They can figure out where the credit card charge actually happened. They can look at different IP addresses if it was like an online purchase, or they can see the GPS location of the credit card place. So if you go try to make a big purchase and then you call and say it was fraudulent, you're going to get caught. So don't lie.
And did you know, little tiny side thought, whenever you file a charge as fraud, it actually gets sent to the person who charged you for that, and they can actually send evidence back to the credit card company, and if they find that it's sufficient evidence, you'll be charged again.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just don't lie.
This isn't a get out of jail free card.
Don't be a douchebag.
And don't think that this is going to be the sneaky way that you're going to get back to the credit card companies. Like, we have plenty of legal and safe ways for you to make money using credit cards. Don't do something stupid like this and get yourself in trouble.
Exactly.
That's my point.
And our last myth that we want to bust today is...
We have two more.
Oh, I skipped straight from 9. Never mind. All right, myth number 10. Having a credit card means I'm in debt or I will get into debt, okay? Having a credit card doesn't mean you're going to get into debt any more than having access to Burger King is going to make you overweight, okay? It's all in your self-control. It's all in how you approach it, okay? Like, we live by the credit card golden rule. You always pay off your balance in full. You never spend more money than you currently have in the bank, okay? So if you are living by this rule, you are never, ever, ever going to get into credit card debt. So just because you have a credit card, I know if at first you're new to this, it's going to be a little scary, but just know, like, that's an irrational fear. Just because you have a credit card doesn't mean you're going to get into debt, and it doesn't mean you're automatically going to be put into debt.
Yeah, and it's just being smart about it, and that's what we're teaching you guys how to do, is how to be smart with your credit cards, so that way you can actually game the system and make money off of it, and not, put yourselves into those bad positions. But yeah, it's true. If you have self-control and you know what you're doing, because we're teaching you and telling you how to do this, then it doesn't mean you're in debt at all. You can have $1 million credit card access. It doesn't mean you're $1 million in debt. If you haven't charged anything, then you're not in debt at all. It just means that you have that available to you. So that's one of the biggest misconceptions, and like that's what we're here to show you guys, is like the credit card myth about getting into debt is, as long as you know what you're doing, you're never going to get yourselves into debt.
Yeah.
And our final point number 11, is I should only put big purchases on a credit card. Well, this has two things that I always want to identify with that. So some people say that in a way of putting purchases on their card that they don't have the means to pay for right now. So if you feel like, I really need this new furniture set, I don't have the money for it, I'll put it on a credit card because that's a big purchase. Well, you're breaking the golden rule, and I'm not going to endorse that. So if you don't have the money for that, whatever purchase you're trying to make right now, you shouldn't be putting it on a credit card, because for one, you're going to pay interest and you're going to start hurting your credit score. But again, you're violating the golden rule, breaking all the principles here. Then I can't endorse that, because you're not actually playing the credit card game the right way. The other way around it, though, is if you actually do have the money for it, but you're just using the credit card for big purchases, well, you're missing out on a lot of the rewards. Now, granted, this isn't necessarily for the newbies that we're speaking to, but as you get more into the credit card game, you have like different travel and cash back reward cards. You'll find that it doesn't matter whether it's a big purchase or a little purchase, all of those purchases that get you rewards add up in the end. It might not seem like it, because it's just a few cents here, a couple bucks here, but overall, over time, that really, really, really adds up, and that's what you can use to do really awesome things like go on vacations, have, big spending purchases from things, just money that you earned by using your credit card. So what we actually recommend is, once you have an established budget and the credit cards that you want, you're really trying to put every single purchase possible onto the credit card because you want to get as many of those reward points as you possibly can.
Yeah, and that's a little advanced, like we said. So we right away, until you really understand the process, we don't recommend doing that. But you don't need to be stuck in this mentality that the only thing that you should put on your credit card is big purchases so you can get points. It's just not the best way to go about it.
Yep, 100%.
So those are our 11 credit card myths. We hope we busted for you, and we hope to see you in the next video. We love you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Ow! That was my nose ring! You stabbed me!
Why do you put things on yourself that I can stab you
You
with?
know I have a nose ring!
Why did you put a knife right here? Don't
Ow!
touch
Am
it.
I bleeding? You like stab? You
I
like
just pinched
you
your nose.
pinched my. There's
I
a
just
metal
pinched-
stick in my nose.
Why is there
Ow.
a metal stick in your nose?
You know I have a nose ring. This isn't new. I'm actually bleeding.
It's not bleeding.
No, look, there's blood there.
On the inside?
Of course, on the inside. Where else would I be bleeding?
Send me to jail now.